Hey guys, welcome back. It's the TED Show. It's Gratitude Tuesday here on the TED Show. Very excited to have Marco Lopez, who is running for sheriff in Osceola County. He's got a great history. He's been on the show before. I love it when alumnuses come back to the show. So welcome back, Hurricane Marco, as we were talking about earlier. Welcome back to the show, Marco. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Ted. It seems like only yesterday we were sitting here talking about the sheriff's race, and here we are again. Now we're talking about coming out of a primary and going to November. I mean, it's crazy.
That's right. So congratulations on your win. You tell us a little bit about, before we get into that and get into what your plans are, and of course I love this title, Climbing to the Top. Give us a little background on you so that they get to know you a little bit.
Well, I'm originally from Illinois, grew up here in Central Florida, and grew up in Orla Vista near Winter Garden, humble upbringings, son of a preacher, just a, good, hardworking American family. I served about 22 years in the military. I served during Operation Iraqi Freedom, and I was in law enforcement for about 17 and a half years, and I also was self-employed for a time, and now I'm going to hopefully continue to be successful and become the sheriff of Osceola County.
Why sheriff? So that is a big undertaking. Since you are former military, thank you again for your service very much. And you have experience as an officer. Why is sheriff? What is it that you want to do with sheriff that makes it so, look, this is something I want to do. I want to make change, or I want to implement change. What is it that you want to do with the sheriff's department?
Well, as a law enforcement officer and Americans, anyone that's up to date on what's been going on in the world, we've seen in the last 10, 15 years a change in the direction of public perception and law enforcement. I want to bring it back to, we can look up to cops. We can trust cops. Cops are our friend. Let's bring some transparency. I don't know about you, but I don't like going to work and being hated. I want the community to like us. And when I was a little boy growing up, I loved law enforcement. I loved seeing the cops and the firemen.
I looked up to them. Yeah. I wanted to be one. I wanted to be a fireman and then a policeman.
I wanted to be a fireman also. Yeah. And then now all of a sudden it's like people are shying away from that and they're distrusting us. And with that being said, I saw a lot of departments in America not being proactive, trying to change that mentality, the way the public is perceiving us. So I went ahead and started saying, you know what, the only way to do it is put in my own ideology, my own ways that I feel that I can create that transparency and start bridging that gap like everyone says they're going to do, but they don't. Let's come at some of the reasons.
Tell me what you want. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. It's just a little delayed, so I'm not trying to cut you off. I love this. I love the community part because you're right. I've had a lot of shows on, especially since COVID, and then God bless him, George Floyd, and there just has been so much negativity and animosity. Yes. And the community itself has been torn over how to build that bridge, how to build that relationship back. So what do you want to do in the communities? What are some of the targets that you'd like to see that you hit, especially in the beginning, because that's such an important thing and it's on everybody's mind right now?
First, I just want to tell everyone that we still got a lot of work to do, just really quick. It was a real struggle. Like I said, anybody in America, there's no excuse for you not to do or get somewhere. If you try hard enough, you can do it. And I'm living proof. I fought against, like I say, a beast. He had about $500,000 at his disposal in community services funds. I fought there was another candidate that had about $140,000 in his tank. And I only had $29,000, but I used my volunteers wisely. We knocked on 15,000 doors and we did it. And it's just an astonishing accomplishment. A lot of people didn't think I can do it. No one believed in me, but we did. One of the first things I'd love to do is create a community advisory review board with a budget review board. We don't have that. How can you let the people know what you have to offer, or how we're disciplining officers, or how we're handling daily complaints, or how we even operate as an agency without that transparency? Those are simple things we can do to start just to try to break that, make that bridge that gap. And then what about a de-escalation training matrix with mental health for our officers so they could provide you a better customer service? These guys are under stressful situations every day, all day. We have to understand they're humans. And then I'm a veteran, and I'd love to do something for our veterans, a veterans liaison outreach program where, let's give back something to those small percenters that sacrifice themselves for our country. And all we're doing is that revolving door. They have PTSD, we arrest them. There's a lot of good programs we're going to implement to get more involved with the community. I just need your help, and anybody who's willing to give me their support in Osceola County and believes in me. November 3rd, I can't do it without you.
Agreed. So tell me, I love all of those particular things, those outreach programs, because that's really where I feel like overall the perception is that the police department is separate from the community. That's other people's perception, that there is no communication overall. And this is worldwide. This is just going on everywhere. That's the perception. So reaching into the community is so important, because if you don't have that trust, then that's where you get all of this. The de-escalation I'd love to talk about, because I feel like that is so critical when, God bless our officers who are in the field. It is so stressful. I'm preaching to the choir, I know. And so to be trained to try to figure out how to not only keep their own stuff de-escalated, but de-escalate the situation as it's going is so critical. So what kind of training do people get? What kind of training do you have? We had some questions before we went live about this. So the de-escalation part, believe it or not, even before you said it. So what kind of things do you want to do? Is it education for the officers? Is it community barbecues? What are the things that you want to do to try to get the community involved and then educate them on the de-escalation?
Well, I think officers for many years are going to 12 to 15 calls a day. It's negative contacts with the community, believe it or not. No one calls you to come over for the barbecue ribs or for a cup of coffee. Everybody's calling you because they have an issue. My wife hit me. My dad kicked me out. And, and we're problem solvers. But no one is here to help them wind down from that potential PTSD that's being created. I mean, they're building all this stuff inside. If we can get them some counseling, in-house counseling, maybe bring on a psychologist or a counselor on board that has a background in mental health, and say, come sit on my couch for a little bit, talk to me, get all that off your chest. What's bothering you? This could potentially help him wind down. Hey, maybe he needs 3 days off on me. I'll pay for it. We don't need to affect your vacation time. Education.
Excuse me.
Those are the little things that we can do to help maybe offset that, because in turn, they're going to provide you a better customer service. There's a lot of different angles we're going to look at. But I think the mental health counseling in-house, I think it's going to be really important. It's going to help us at least start paving that way to help prevent a lot of these anger incidents and de-escalate some things that should have never gotten to the level that they get to.
And there's also a stigma, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a stigma that police officers feel if they admit to the stress level, or if they admit that they're really, really under duress, that they feel like there'll be some sort of repercussions from that, or it will go against them getting promoted or being out in the field. Yes. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's that taboo. We have some of the highest suicide rates, military and law enforcement. And, cops have a lot of pride. You take their gun, you just took away, they'll never work again in this town. And a lot of them don't want to go to security work. They're like, man, you kidding me? I'm way higher than this. And those are the things that we have to teach them. Hey, it's okay. We're not all here to take your guns. They're not all going to kill themselves. So we can reach them before. There's a lot of good, like we used to go debriefs whenever you see a violent, an incident. We can get mandatory debriefs. Hey, talk to them. You saw death. You saw body parts. Let's get this out. And this way, they don't have to keep building it inside and then have an explosion or a negative incident later down the road. What we're trying to do is take the preventative measures to help them take some of that burden off their back and off their minds.
I love that. Let's talk about the mental health with the community. One of the things that has come up a lot since all of the elections and the candidates that have been on have talked about the mental health and decarcerating, that's not the word, but it's something like that, addressing the mental health issues and trying to treat that and address that rather than just throw everybody blanket wise into jail. I think that's what you were sort of referencing as far as the mental health. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
You know, you got to remember something, Ted. I mean, most officers, and not to offend anyone, you know, we have high school diplomas, GEDs, some college. We're not counselors. We're not psychiatrists. We're not psychologists. We don't have those tools to go out there and be able to make those determinations on who is having a mental health crisis and who is not. That's part of the stuff that we can use to train our officers to be better identifiers. People don't realize, you know, the officers are human beings just like you and me. And if we don't have these tools, we're not trained to be able to identify some of these signs. I mean, you know, you're going to have those shootings. You're going to have those incidents where it's just going to negatively impact the department. But until our federal government and our local government start giving us funding for these tools, I think it's going to be, you know, crucial in order to get us back on track and start establishing that trust within our community and our law enforcement.
I agree. And you have a newly elected state attorney who thinks the exact same way. I was privileged to have her on the show and talk about that several times. I'd be remiss, and Rick would give me a hard time if I didn't talk about how historic this is for you. If you win the race, and you'll say when you win, and that's what you should say.
Yes.
As sheriff, you would be you're the first Latino.
Yes. If historically, I don't. Maybe you can do some research for me, because I've looked. I mean, I know you probably have more pull than I do. We have, to my knowledge, there has never been a Latino sheriff in the state of Florida. I think I mean, I could be wrong. I know there's a lot of chief of police, but sheriffs, I'm not sure. I know in Central Florida, Orlando, and Osceola County, no. But you know, it's kind of, you know, that wasn't the goal that was set out. You know, the first Latino sheriff. No, we want to be the best sheriff. We want to be everybody's sheriff. And if that's part of the package, we make history. It's good, but we don't want to get away from our main core focus is, you know, protect and serve and provide everybody a good quality service. You know, and sometimes, you know, not trying to, I think keeping the race thing out of it might be the best thing. We stop talking about it. Hey, Marco is just the best sheriff. You know, we don't have to go and
that.
You know, and I mean, I think it's just the right thing to do, especially in times like now. I don't think color matters. I think, you know, we're all human beings on this planet, and you know, we all have to live here and work together, man, one way or the other.
Exactly. All right. So, sheriff, being a sheriff or being in law enforcement, sometimes people are intimidated. So, I want to ask a personal question. What do you do? What does Marco do outside of all of this to stay focused, to stay grounded, to relax, self-care? Just throw that human side element in there so people know, guys, the sheriff is just as much a human being as you. They just have a specific role that they've been elected to do.
You know, I love just sometimes, I'm not a person that sleeps a lot. I'm always thinking and doing something, but I always function well. I like to just sit out on that porch early in the morning before the crack of dawn and just drink my coffee and just, you know, listen to that silence. And I have chickens. I have some horses.
Chickens.
Yeah, some horses. I like those things. I just like that. I don't know, man. I just like grabbing them eggs sometimes, and you got fresh eggs, and some of the neighbors will come and grab them, you know, and it's just something that relaxing, quiet countryness is what I really enjoy. It's my private time, my quiet time, and I'm very social. When I'm off work, you know, I like to go mingle with the neighbors and just hang out and have a couple of drinks and just, you know, and I'm the same old guy that was, you know, that's been here forever, and I want them to know that I'm always going to be that same humble person.
I love it. All right. So if people want to learn more about you, get involved in your campaign, reach out to you. I put the Facebook page down there. It's scrolling across there. Is that the best way for people to get involved?
That's good. That's you can go there. You can go to thepeoplesheriff.com. You'll see my link, and it gives a little bit. There's a link for donations and a link for my trajectory and a little bit about my history. And my grandfather fought in World War I, so they'll get to know a little bit who I am. I'm very simple, very humble, and I'm going to continue this way. And, you know, hopefully everything will work out the way it should be. I have great intentions, and I want to be the people's sheriff for as long as they'll keep me.
I love it. The people's sheriff. That's good. I will put that in the post again when I do it. Marco, thank you so much for being on the show. It's always a joy to have you on. I love hearing what you have to say.
When I win, I want to bring when I win, I want to bring you to the sheriff's department and do a TED show with me.
I would love to do a TED show at the sheriff's department.
Definitely.
I would absolutely love that. Thank you. I wish you tons and tons of, is luck the right word? Do we even use that anymore? I hope that it is a success for you in November. You guys get out and vote. Yes. And if you don't know about the candidates, here's Marco here sharing about what he's about and what some of the things that he wants to do. Reach out because he's very accessible. So's his team. And it would be great if you guys had questions and actually voted. And you had the knowledge to vote for the candidate that makes sense for you. Marco, thank you for being humble.
Thank you
for coming on the show. Appreciate it very much. All right, guys, we'll be back later. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.